Don't miss the tea. Subscribe now.
Girl, pour the wine. No, fill it to the brim. You are absolutely not going to believe the day I have had. I am shaking, literally vibrating with rage right now. You know that whole nightmare situation with my neighbor, the one who thinks he's the king of Raleigh? Well, buckle up because it just got so much worse. The other day, I wake up to the sound of the apocalypse. Heavy machinery, engines roaring. I look out the window and my heart just drops. My neighbor, this absolute psycho, hired a full-blown construction crew with a bulldozer, and they were on my land. I ran out there in my pajamas, screaming my head off, but they didn't care. They bulldozed my fence, just crushed it. And then they started on the trees, ripping them out by the roots. And the worst part, they dug up the official survey markers. I went to the internet and they told me this was criminal. They said, "Go to the police, this is property damage." I felt so validated. I spent all night printing out statutes and highlighting sections. I was ready to march down to the station and get justice. I marched down to the police station with my folder of evidence, ready to get justice. I had the law on my side. I had photos of the smashed fence, the missing survey stakes, everything. I walked in, and the detective had this vibe of, oh great, another whining homeowner. But I kept my cool. I sat down and laid it all out. "Officer, my neighbor hired a crew to intentionally trespass on my land. They bulldozed my fences and removed the survey markers." I expected him to send a squad car right over, but you know what he did? He leaned back, sighed, and gave me this condescending look. He listened for maybe 5 minutes. And then he holds up a hand and says, "Look, there's nothing criminal here. This is a civil matter. You need to call a lawyer." I stared at him, thinking I misheard. "Excuse me, nothing criminal. He destroyed my property on purpose." He just shrugged. "It's a property dispute. It happens all the time, not a crime." When the detective told me my neighbor bulldozing my fence wasn't a crime, I saw red. I pulled out my highlighted papers. I had done my homework. I looked him dead in the eye and said, "Actually, officer, according to North Carolina General Statute 14147, it is a Class 2 misdemeanor to knowingly remove iron lot corner pipes. That is a crime." I didn't stop there. And under NCGS 14144, it is a Class 2 misdemeanor to unlawfully destroy any fence. That is also a crime. I laid the statutes right there on his desk. And do you know what he said? He didn't even look at the paper. He just said, "Yeah, well, we don't really enforce that. It's a civil issue." I'm trying not to scream. How is it a civil issue if it's listed in the criminal statutes? And then he dropped the line that broke my brain. He looked at me completely serious and said, "It's a criminal civil act." I froze. A criminal civil act? That is an oxymoron. He basically just showed me the door. I walked out of that station feeling so small and gaslighted. Criminal civil act. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. It's just code for, I don't want to do paperwork. But this isn't over. If the police won't help me, I am going to go nuclear on the civil side. I am going to find the nastiest shark of a lawyer in North Carolina. I'm going to sue for the fence, for the survey costs, and for every single leaf on those trees. Tree law is serious business, and I hope I bankrupt him. I'm also looking into swearing out a complaint directly with a magistrate to bypass the lazy police entirely. He thinks because the cops brushed me off that he's one. He has no idea. I have the internet, I have the statutes, and now I have pure, unadulterated spite fueling me. Every permit he pulls, I'm challenging it. Every noise ordinance, I'm calling it in. Cheers to criminal civil acts and the incompetence of the Raleigh PD. It's going to be a long lawsuit.